Hey, my name is Conscious, and I'm going to show you how to set up a parallax background in Godot 4.3. So this is going to be the final project or the final result of how, after we implement the parallax background. So I already have this set up right now, but I'm just going to get rid of this right now. I generally like to house everything in a Node 2D. Just really makes everything a little bit more easier to manage as your levels continue to grow. So I'm just going to call this background for now. And inside of that, I'm going to create a parallax 2D, which you can see is experimental right now. But Godot actually does recommend this over the parallax background and parallax layer. So we're going to use that. Inside of this, we're going to add a sprite 2D, which is going to be able to handle our background, foreground, and midground images. And in my case, we're going to need 3 of these. So I'm just going to click the parallax 2D and Control D and duplicate them, and just quickly rename them. Alright, and for each of these we actually do want to set on the sprite, we want the offset centered to be false. That's recommended for all pixel art. If you hover over here, it does recommend that you put this property to false for pixel art games. Now we're just going to go in and add each image into our sprite. So for background, I'm going to do this one, foreground here, and midground here. While we're working on the background, I'm just going to turn off the visibility for these. And while we're at it, I'm going to drag this to the top level of our scene tree. Don't worry about the exact position of this sprite right now. We will fine-tune that down the road. Okay, now in each parallax 2D node, we need to set up the repeat size. So I'm going to click back into that node, click on repeat, and we're going to adjust the repeat size. For this background image, I'm just going to hover over this, and the width is 128, so I'm going to repeat on 128. So as you can see, it duplicated that image right when it was right at the end of our current image. Then I'm going to look to repeat times. This is going to be how many times are we going to actually repeat this mirroring. So I'm going to make sure I repeat it enough so that I am fully covered over the viewport, which is the blue box right here. So I'm going to go probably a little bit more than I would need to, but I've found that this works better for me in terms of it rendering properly. So I just want to make sure that it's fully larger than the current viewport. Okay, now we can go back to our midground. I'm going to do the same thing here, just place this a little bit more reasonable. I'll fix it after we do the repeats. Now I'm going to go here. We are going to go back to the repeat. We need to get the size of this, which is 144. Cool. All right. We're going to do the same thing that we did for the background. Click on the sprite. This is probably, we're actually going to try. Just going to do it 3 times actually. I think that should be enough. It looks aligned. Okay. Now we can go back and do the foreground. Here we go. We're going to do repeats. This is a much bigger image, so what is it, 493? I'm actually going to set this at 500. I don't think this one needs to be exactly connecting. I think it's a little bit better if there's a little bit more space on this one, but it's really up to you. Not a big deal. And we actually don't even need to repeat this one. This image is large enough that the repeat times can remain at 1. And we are just going to, come on. Yeah, I think we're actually okay there, but we'll adjust it a little bit to make it a little nicer. All right, cool. Alright, so let's test it out. Let's play it. Alright, so everything's up, but you can see that everything is still static, nothing's moving, and that's not really what we want. We're not getting the parallax effect that we are trying to set up. And that's because we didn't update the scroll scale in any of our parallax 2D nodes. So this controls how it affects the scrolling. And a lower number is it moves less, and a higher number is it moves faster. So for the background, I'm going to do 0.1. For the midground, I'm going to do 0.5. And for the foreground, I don't want it to be completely static, so I'm going to do 0.9. Also know that we are only working on the x-axis here, so you will have to click this to unlock the component ratio here. And now we go into play. We get that nice effect. And that's that. It's pretty quick to set up the parallax 2D background. And I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you want me to cover anything else Godot related.